Hello children, and welcome to today's collective worship. You can see our candle is lit. I'm just going to give you a moment to just sit quietly, waiting to hear what our collective worship is all about today. So today, children, our collective worship is all about penguins. And you can see from the title we've called the penguin, the resilient penguin. And last week we talked about what that word might actually mean. How sometimes we have to keep on going, we have to persevere, we have to think about sometimes when things get challenging, we carry on and keep on going. Well, today, this collective worship is slightly different because whilst Mrs. Robertson is talking to you at the moment, somebody else is going to help me by telling you some really interesting facts from some researchers who did some work in the Antarctica. So we're going to find out a little bit more about those resilient penguins who are actually called Adelie penguins.
This is an aerial photo of the Adelie penguin breeding colony in Antarctica. All the rocks in this area are black volcanic rocks, and the brown is created by years of penguin guano or droppings that build up and indicate where the nests are. Satellites are picking up the guano signals in around Antarctica, showing where colonies are located. Recently, new colonies have been discovered this way. You can just about make out the yellow researchers' tent in this photo. Adelie penguins live in areas where the ocean has persistent ice cover. This only occurs in the ocean surrounding Antarctica. As songbirds live in trees, these birds live on ice floes. If the ice disappears, these penguins will have to move. These penguins are very inquisitive birds and want to explore any new object that comes into the colony. This one is using their mouth to carry the rocks back to the nest. These rocks are used to build the nest, protecting the egg from rolling away and any snow melt which occurs. In this colony there are plenty of rocks, but birds continually steal from each other's nests. At the base of the penguin's tail is an oil gland. These birds spend a great deal of time preening and keeping their feathers well oiled and fluffed. The feathers are very dense to keep the birds' bodies warm and dry. You can see in these two pictures, there's a picture of a dry head where it's all fluffed up, and then a wet head where it's really smooth. Getting into the water is always dangerous. Leopard seals hide underneath the ice and wait for the penguins to jump in. There is usually safety in numbers too, so they go in groups. Often the group will stand on the ice ledge waiting for the right time to jump in. Some researchers have noticed that sometimes the first one is pushed, which then causes the rest to follow. To get on the ice, penguins have to swim fast and almost fly out of the water. This ice was only about a metre high and the penguin made the leap easily. But they have been known to leap as high as 2 to 3 metres. Sometimes they land on their feet, but more often they land on their bellies and scoot along for a bit before standing up and continuing their journey. Apparently the photograph that you see here, this one did jump out, a beautiful jump, but it landed on its belly. This is an Adelie penguin chick. They start off small, but they eat lots and they grow and put on weight very, very quickly. This chick is in the process of molting to the adult feathers or plumage. The process takes several days and frequently the parents are gone by this time. The chick is on its own and must find its own way to the ocean and learn to swim by itself. If you look at this one, it's got a little white chin which indicates it's about a year old. After the end of a year, it will molt again and grow the black chin of an adult. Every year, Adult penguins molt too, losing their old feathers and growing new ones. This adult Adelie penguin is just beginning the process. To get between ice flows, Adelie penguins sometimes leap. Both ice flows, each side, are moving up and down and back and forth. Gauging the jump takes time, skill, and a bit of luck. This is a penguin's egg. The egg is hatched and the chick is just beginning to crack the shell, which is called peeping. This part of hatching can take a few minutes or several hours. This is a chick just moments after breaking the shell. The chick is wet and will get very cold very quickly if the mother does not hold it against her warm body. If you notice, the parent is holding the egg on its feet. The next two pictures show penguin prints in the snow. This one you can see the feet and the track of the tail. And in this one, tracks are all over the place. The wide tracks are the penguins who are sliding on their bellies, calling tobogganing. It takes less energy and they can go faster than when they walk. The penguin's feet are very strong, very good for climbing on rocks and walking on ice. Adult penguins are resilient, which means they can recover quickly and withstand very difficult conditions. They create a warm, dry place for the chicks during a storm. When they swim, the penguins can hold their breath for several minutes. But Adelie penguins do need to come up for air. Notice in this photograph they come out of the water when they swim to breathe through their mouths. So Adelie penguins, like other breeds of penguins, are resilient and love the ice. But they do have challenging lives, overcoming storms, the cold, the threat of leopard seals catching them as they go out to feed. And they keep on going.
Well, I hoped you enjoyed looking at all those pictures and thinking perhaps, why are those penguins so resilient? But I also hope that you've taken some time to think, perhaps, why are penguins so resilient? Did you notice anything as you were looking at all those pictures? What did you notice? And I wonder whether you might be able to just jot down or share with a grown-up some of the interesting facts you might have learnt today. It's always useful to maybe draw a picture or maybe write down some points that you remember. You might like to draw a penguin and think about some of the points that have been shared, or you may just like to draw a penguin and think about today's collective worship. Well, we've come to the end of our collective worship today, children, and I'd like to finish with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for the beast so tall. Thank you for the creatures so small. Thank you for all the things that live, and thank you, God, for all you give. Amen.